Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Tuesday, and if you're in the Green Bay area, I hope you're dried out by now after a rain-soaked practice. Holy Toledo, you talk about a downpour. And hey, shout out Matt LaFleur. Certainly knew that was coming and sent the guys out there anyway. Love to see it. Certainly love watching the Packers get after it in the elements. And hey, kudos to Jordan Love. No contract. He's not practicing, but he's there taking the rain, taking the deluge, if you will. We'll get into everything that transpired throughout practice today. Undoubtedly, I'll take your questions. The Jordan Love thing continues to drag on into day 2 of camp. The Packers have signed a quarterback to be a camp arm in Jacob Eason. They'll undoubtedly want to divvy up a lot of that work, as it will, from the quarterback spot over the next day, hopefully day or two, and it doesn't stretch into like a full week or anything like that. But, pour one out for Peter Bowden, the Badgers long snapper who was released today. I know a lot of Wisconsin fans were excited at a prospect of a Badger making it onto the 53-man roster, but it was not to be. Jordan Love thing, I'm sure we'll talk about it. I'm still not worried. Just discussed this with Billy on the latest Carry the G radio, the podcast. Just went up on the channel. So when we're done here, I hope you'll check that out. I thought Billy had some really interesting things to say, some keen insight, as he always does. In the meantime, I do want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Ticket King. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, based in Wisconsin since 1992, Ticket King is located across the street from Lambeau Field on Oneida. They're happy to help you find just the right tickets for every Packer game, from larger groups to single tickets, both home and away. They partner with local Green Bay businesses for tailgating and bus transportation to the games, so you don't have to worry about driving or parking. They're even open on game day for last-minute tickets or possible upgrades. They even have a drive-through window. And if you're not in Green Bay, no problem. Just use the Ticket King link on the Cheesehead TV homepage, in our app, or indeed in the description of this video. Do it, people. Don't utilize Ticketmaster or SeatGeek, StubHub, none of this national nonsense. Use a company based in Wisconsin since the early 90s. Ticket King for all your Packer ticket needs. Yes, hey, Matt LaFleur sent him out into the rain today. And go real quickly through the notes that I have here from everything that was reported. Obviously, once again, I am not there. I will arrive Thursday morning. The first practice I will attend will be Friday. So until then, going off what the Intrepid Beat has to put out, obviously some notes before practice. Royce Newman has adjusted his contract. Essentially, he has no guaranteed money in 2024. Took a significant, I think, just over $800,000 cut. There's no doubt that he's trying to make the roster here, and the Packers are trying to make sure that it's easy to cut him. Potential, you get down the road, say, through a couple preseason games, maybe they flip him. I mean, Brian has gotten trade compensation for players that don't have Royce Newman's starting experience. I mean, this is a guy who has started games for the Green Bay Packers. And I understand the Packers fans have soured on Royce, and I understand that, but there's still value there, either as a backup and or as potential trade compensation, as it were. But yes, he has reworked his deal. And then, as we mentioned, Jacob Eason was signed. Peter Bowden was cut. Needed a camp arm. Most definitely don't want 2 guys handling the entire load for the next foreseeable number of days as far as the training camp practices go. I mean, you can't go anywhere on the internet looking at reports from practice and not hear about the day the defense had. Sure feels like the defense is absolutely jacked up and ready to fly around. Lots of wins up front from the defensive line. Rashawn Gary, in particular, had a 3-sack in a 4-play sequence, which is obviously encouraging. I will just say this, and I talked about this with Billy just briefly, but I'm very excited for the defense. No question about it. I'm excited that the defensive front is owning up front, right? Things get a little different when the pads come on. I mean, we all know this. we all understand that the physical nature of the game changes somewhat when an offensive lineman in the execution of a blocking scheme is able to utilize what their technique is, which is getting inside those pads being an important word here, and utilizing their technique to drive their opponent and utilize their game, essentially. So I'm not discounting or dismissing what the defense has done up to this point through 2 days, but I would ask that people, let's pump the brakes a little bit, just a little touch, just a smidge, until the pads come on. The pads come on, the defense keeps doing this, then I start to get excited. But right now, it's all well and good. Speaking of offensive linemen struggling, the name that you'll probably hear a lot or see a lot throughout the reporting of today's practice is Andre Dillard. The free agent acquisition was out there with the starters at right tackle and Rashawn Gary, essentially, reportedly made him look silly. Now, I get it. It's frustrating because, hey, he's a free agent acquisition. He's a vet. You would expect him to at least come in and be competitive, right? But Rashawn Gary has made many an offensive tackle look silly. And again, there are no pads on, can't really do much as far as your true technique as an offensive lineman. And I'm not just, excusing Dillard because I don't think he's long for this world as a tackle in Green Bay. But I will say I'm going to give him some grace and let the pads come on and see how he competes when that happens. Again, there's no shame in getting beat by Rashawn Gary. I've already seen people in this chat and on Twitter talking about, oh, cut him, etc. Look, I think he's going to compete at guard as well. That's one of the things they liked about him is his versatility, especially when he was coming out of college. But also, Rasheed Walker got beat by Rashawn Gary. Does that mean we have to cut him too? Let's just slow down, pump the brakes. It's day 2 of camp. I'm excited again for the defense, but let's see how things develop before we start calling for guys to lose their jobs. Also, along the defensive front, sure sounds like reading the coverage that Lucas Van Ness has had 2 strong days in a row. And one exciting thing is reading about his involvement now, albeit with the second defense, so the second stringers, if you will, but kicking inside and showcasing a few things in obvious passing situations, i.e. third downs. That's something we heard a lot kind of pontificated about last summer. We certainly saw a handful of snaps with LVN kicking inside, as it were. There was a lot of talk about the possibility of him being utilized kind of like Zadarius Smith was a few years ago. That never really materialized with any kind of, certainly with any kind of regularity, but it didn't seem like they really tried to give that any kind of credence or shot. Whereas I do think with the 4-3, allowing your best pass rushers to get on the field, hopefully get your best athletes on the field and get upfield and create havoc and take advantage of maybe some less athletic guards, if you will. I'm down with that idea. And I think Lucas Van Ness could be a real problem for offenses in that regard. So hopefully we see more of that as camp continues. That's something where I think he could really start to make some hay, especially in a defense that is asking for him to just get upfield, use that God-given ability to just get across the line of scrimmage, live in the backfield, create havoc. I think that's something he can do. So that was encouraging to read. I know Devontae Wyatt forced a fumble of Sean Clifford with an interior rush. Again, very exciting, but I'd like to see that continue when the pads come on. Evan Williams. Now this, on the defensive side of the ball, I thought was interesting. There was a lot of talk yesterday already out the gate about Javon Bullard being listed first on the depth chart, running with the ones. Very good. I'm not surprised. But then today, Evan Williams got run with the ones, started the day as the safety opposite Xavier McKinney. I love the idea of these guys competing and getting opportunities to compete. I think that's something that they'll probably, I think Matt LaFleur will probably be asked about it tomorrow morning, but I would suspect that's a competition that they let play out throughout at least the first, if not the second preseason game. I think both of these guys have a lot to offer. And I do think Javon's probably the favorite in that regard, but yeah, do not sleep on Evan Williams because his college tape is being impressive. And I think given the opportunities, he's going to make this a real tough choice for the Packers. Along that offensive line, your starters in walkthrough, which is what they'd probably be labeling as their preferred starting group. You had Rasheed Walker, Jenkins at guard, Myers at center, Ryan at guard, and Zach Tom at right tackle, which, again, that's what I suspected. would be their starting lineup. We'll see if that continues throughout camp. I do think they're going to give Jordan Morgan a chance to win that right guard spot against Ryan. That's probably, for me, the one to circle as far as a camp battle to watch day in and day out. Who's running where? How much kind of opportunity are you getting with the ones? Long way to go. Pads even, haven't even come on yet, but something to keep an eye on, no doubt. And finally, on the kicking front, couple kickers got chances today. Carlson, our boy, Anders Carlson, the favorite in the clubhouse, went 6 for 6 in the rain. Been nice to see that in San Francisco, but in the rain, 6 of 6. Shout out to the second-year player. Gotta love him answering the bell. Joseph was 5 of 6. He missed from 44 yards out. So Carlson starts his defense of his job in good fashion. It's good to see. Very happy to see him kind of start off with a strong outing, as it were. Hello to everybody in the comment section. So good to see everybody. Thanks for mixing it up with me here on a Tuesday. Joey, thanks for the super chat. Should we be excited for the D or worried about the offensive line? Packers fans, no. You should not be worried about the offensive line in any way, shape, or form. As Billy put it on our latest podcast, the offensive line is going to be a strong point for this team. There is zero doubt about it. Let the pads come on. Let them get their work in. Because make no mistake about it, and there have been people talking about this throughout the offseason, because of the state of offensive line play around the league and the work that they are not allowed to get in over an offseason in a way you used to be able to. It's always going to take offensive lines time. It's always going to take not only time to gel as a cohesive unit, but just to get into playing kind of mode, shape, what have you, simply because you're not allowed to do any of that in the offseason in a way that you could in years previous. So, no, you should not be worried about the offensive line. Joe, thanks for the super chat. QB signing a sign. Packers aren't confident Love deal will be done soon. No, I think more it's just they don't want Clifford and Pratt's arms to fall off by Saturday. And I do think, yes, this will probably last through the week up till the weekend. I will be surprised if this is lingering through Monday, but it potentially could. And the Packers are guarding themselves, making sure that these guys aren't completely worn out, getting like 60, 70 throws of practice. No, that is not a sign that they are worried about the Love deal. I think they're just being pragmatic, is my read of that. Craig, thanks for the super chat, man. GM Nagler, after you sign Jordan Love, what is your next main goal for the 2024-2025 season? I mean, probably just seeing where things land as far as injuries go throughout camp in the preseason. I'm not beating down the door to sign anybody else long-term at this point because you have such a young team. You're still in the process of identifying your core. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're in a pretty good spot with most of their vets. I know there are a couple guys, i.e. Josh Myers, heading into the last year of their deal, but it's not like I'm rushing to the fore to sign Myers to an extension. At least I'm not. If you're talking about GM Nagler, maybe Brian feels differently, but yeah, I think it's much more about managing the roster you have while you watch camp and preseason play out, then see where you stand heading into kind of the last preseason game, that little break before week 1. Then maybe you start making a few moves, maybe an extension here or there, dependent on what you've identified from this stretch. But so much is going to happen over the course of these next 3 weeks, man. It's hard to sit here and say, well, this is the next order of business. This is your lab as a personnel guy. This is when you are making your determinations as far as which rookies are what we thought they were. You know, once these pads come on and they're playing against NFL competition, is this guy really what we thought? Maybe he isn't. Okay, now I got to go maybe make some adjustments, especially on the back end of my roster, both for kind of augmenting whatever position he plays, but also augmenting my special teams units. Maybe that guy I was counting on coming in and give me some serious reps on teams, and now that might not even work, you know? So this is, for me, and the way I view it, and I think Brian agrees, this is not a time for big, humongous swing of the fence type moves. This is about finding out what you've got and then adjusting as you kind of get the information. That would be my guess. On Culture, what's up, man? Thanks for the super chat. Today's jams are Eminence Front by The Who. I fucking love that song. Frankenstein by the Edgar Winter Group. Your Love by the Outfield. and The Battle of Evermore by Led Zeppelin. 2 bangers right there. Evermore's a phenomenal song. Jeezy Baby, thanks for the super chat, man. This new Packer QB signing means Jordan Love will sit out the whole year. The Packer drama never ends. Jordan Love will get traded / sarcasm. Hashtag get real. Jeezy Baby, I'm not going to lie. You had me there. You had me in the first half, but yes, you are correct. It is sarcasm. And I know it's frustrating. I talked about this a little bit with Billy. It's like, can we just go a stretch without Packers quarterback contract drama? And I understand it's a product of the fact that the Packers are pretty unique in how they operate. You know, the idea that they took Jordan when they did, when they had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and let him sit and didn't take advantage of the young quarterback contract means that they're in a very different place from most teams. And because of that, they are undoubtedly having very unique conversations and trying to, you know, come up with solutions for problems that David Mulligetta and Athletes First probably haven't run up against before. Now, don't get me wrong, they've, you know, certainly negotiated all sorts of different contracts. So I think they're entirely capable. I'm not doubting that. But I'm sure both Russ Ball and Mulligetta, or whoever's doing the numbers over at Athletes First, are undoubtedly coming up with very unique solutions as far as, okay, the Packers want certain things and Athletes First want certain things, and they want to make sure, blah, blah, blah. Again, we heard Brian, they're close. They're obviously close, or Jordan Love wouldn't be on the practice field. But, yeah, I do not doubt for a moment that there are some very unique problem solving going on both ends. Ed, thanks for the super chat, man. Man, it's just got to suck to get cut. Is your new release on iTunes? Ed, it is on iTunes. Motel Men, Burning Down Wonderland. And yeah, it's most certainly just got to be the worst feeling in the world. Especially, I mean, Bowden was really personable and had some really good kind of rapport with the digital team, it seemed, and had done a couple of clips with them. And really fun. You're having a good time. You're in your home state, and then you get cut. That's just got to be the worst feeling in the world. Rob, thanks for the super chat, man. Bowden might be back when Eason is released. It's possible. I'm not saying it's 100% like in the bag, but it's entirely possible. Now, maybe Brian and the group have seen enough, and maybe they thought, okay, well, that's an easy cut. Or maybe they're like telling him that exact thing, like stick around, don't sublet your place or move or whatever, because we're going to give you a call as soon as the Jordan thing is handled. That's entirely possible as well. We'll have to wait and see. Andrew, thanks for the super chat, man. Evan Williams was a good choice in my college days. It is a good choice now for the Green Bay Packers as well. Andrew, I'd like to remind you that the happy hours tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, which I think is 3 p.m. on the West Coast where you are. So just a reminder, no particular reason for you, Andrew. Just wanted to remind you that the happy hour is coming up here a little later. Eric says, Nags, I think at least one matchup between the Packers and the Lions should have been on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. Hey, man, you just take what you can get, right? There's tons of things I wish they would have done with the schedule, but at the end of the day, the Packers are playing. We're going to be watching, right? I feel you. I understand like the pomp and circumstance of it all, but hey, man, Packers football is Packers football. I don't care if you're broadcasting it on, I don't know, the CW. I'll be watching it. I'll be there. Mimsy, thanks for the super chat. When's Motel Men opening for Tears for Fears? I would guess never, but I don't know, man. Send them an album. Let them know. We do cover Head Over Heels in our live set. Craig, thanks for the super chat. When am I getting Carry the G in Massachusetts or via internet, Total Wine and Spirits, etc.? We had actually looked into one of those type of services and just couldn't make it work for this season. So you won't be able to order it. And as far as in Massachusetts, not yet. However, there is a chance. In fact, I think it's a pretty good chance that there are certain spots on the East Coast where you're going to be able to get it this year. That's right. And you know what that means. You better be ready.
Well, we carry the G wherever we may be, so creamy and cold. And from the the land of the green and gold.
I am never going to stop playing that. I'm going to be like 85 years old doing like Packers dailies from the old folks home, and I'm going to be playing that video. I absolutely adore it. It's so good. Alex, any updates on the Training Camp Cheesehead TV get-together? I may have missed it. 2 weeks behind on Spotify from vacation. Alex, yes, talked about it yesterday. This Saturday night, the 27th, I believe that is the date, we'll be at Doozies at 7:30 p.m. in Green Bay at 1992 Holmgren Way. Come on out, 7:30 p.m. Saturday night, and Doozies upstairs in the kind of outdoor patio area. 7:30. We'll be drinking beer. We'll be talking Packers. It'll be a good time. Hope to see you there. Lots of fun. All sorts of goodness. Legless, thanks for the super chat. Crow's chili is spaghetti or chili. So delicious, but my family and I were arguing. Why would you argue? Why? I don't understand. Why would you argue about something that is just delicious? Call it broccoli. It doesn't matter. It tastes amazing. Yeah, I think most people, if they were just given it blindly across certainly the country, if not the world, probably would call it spaghetti. But I don't care. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. Brandy, carry the G, breakfast of champs. You ain't lying. Oh, and Brandy, I know your hubby and I have been communicating on Patreon. I'm taking the kids' gloves off tomorrow. We're playing Madden, and your husband's gonna need consoling because I'm gonna beat him down. So just be ready for that. That's all I'm saying. Just maybe, I don't know, make his favorite drink or something. I don't know, later in the afternoon, because he's gonna be hurting from the beat down I give him. No question about it. All right, everybody, I'm going to get going. I cannot thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Like I said, happy hour at the top of the hour. If you're a Patreon member, carry the G Club member here on YouTube. The information is on your respective pages. In the meantime, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack, go.